And we are live! Hello, everybody, and good evening. I'm so excited to be here today with you guys. That's right. Tonight, we are going to have an awesome conversation, something we've been talking about for a while, and we got a lot of your messages, so tonight we're going to talk about it all. But before we get into it, we definitely want to take a moment to introduce ourselves. So, by the way, these are my childhood friends. We actually all grew up together, and I am so. This is
like
very. we should have called this grown-ups, right? I'm so excited to be able to do this do this live. So let's start with Rafi. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rafi Rubenov. I am a physician assistant. I work in an office doing orthopedics for the past 6+ years. And yeah, I know Avi for many years. So
Yeah,
we're again.
Welcome. Yeah, exactly. This is the second time. We do have a previous episode, so go check it out. We're going to be looking at your questions live, so definitely send it in. And of course, Yair, Dr. Yair, we should say.
Please try again.
His calls are already coming in. So introduce yourself.
This is my name is Yair Fazilov. I'm a pharmacist. Have my own pharmacy in Great Neck for about 2 years now. Working for about 6 years as a pharmacist and know Avi since high school, basically.
All right, we're excited to be able to do this. And of course, I think I should say our frontline superhero right over here. This guy is you should introduce yourself. Go ahead.
My name is Yehuda Sabzon. I am a registered nurse. I work in the emergency department.
Yes. A superhero, I should say. Because I know and we're not going to talk about the details, but based on what's been going on in the world, this guy has really been on the front line, saving so many lives. So thank you for your service, really. We should give you a big round of applause. All right, and my name is Avi. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist, and I work with couples, with kids, with teens, with adults, dealing with various life challenges, anxiety, PTSD, trauma, difficulties in relationships, helping people experience more joy and balance in their life. Many of you probably know me, the guy with the pets, right? The therapy animals, and that's just one of the components of my therapy practice. Tonight, we're going to be talking about misconceptions about what people think men are really thinking about, right? But today, we're going to kind of debunk a lot of the things that people think, and we're going to spill the beans, exactly, about what's really going on in their mind. Because a lot of the times, people want to hear, especially when working with couples, a lot of the times I see with women, they say, why isn't he talking to me? What is he really thinking? So tonight, we're going to be talking about that. So, are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do this, okay. So, let's open this up to see the questions that are coming in now.
Right.
So, a lot of the times, has it come up? Let's see. And we're live. Let's make this lower. Awesome. Here we go. So we can see all of your questions. A lot of the times we hear that women love compliments, right? They always say, give the women the compliments and make sure that they hear those nice words. But what are your thoughts about, in the Arab, we can start with you. What are your thoughts about men getting compliments? And is it appropriate for men to get compliments? Is it something that men crave? Is there a need for it? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, obviously, men also have the same need that women have when it comes to doing stuff around the house or whatever it is. We want to hear that the woman acknowledges that we are actually doing something. And like, for example, fixing a broken sink or, fixing a cabinet or something, or taking out the trash even. We want to be able to have that our wives are...
Taking out the trash, that is like the biggest topic of conversation, right? I feel like in every household, there's definitely some type of, or used to be some type of conversation about the trash. I heard... people say, like, a lot of times women will say, why do I have to tell you to take out the trash? You should have to take out the trash on your own. What are your thoughts about that, Rafi? It's your job. That's a good one. That's another.
Obvious.
We're going to definitely get to that one. It's your job, right? So what are your thoughts about that?
So a little bit to break down on how men think about it is that in their minds, for example, women obviously, they're working, they're cleaning, garbage slowly gets filled up throughout the day. A man sometimes doesn't know if there's more things for women to do, or if there's more garbage
That's
to
a very
collect,
good
if
point,
there's cooking, there's going to be more bigger mess. So a man sometimes could think, okay, I'm not going to take it out right now because then another bag is going to get filled up, and sometimes it could smell throughout the night. So rather, let me just wait either for her to tell me it's time to take out the trash, or, you know.
Because when you do take it out, they're like, wait, I wasn't done yet. I want to put something else in. So there's definitely, a lot of the times it may not even be in our conscious mind. This kind of might be in the background playing along, and we just wait for direction. And in a bit we'll get a little bit, we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. So Yehuda, I'm curious to know, like, in terms of praise, right? We're not only talking about how, you know, how good you look, or, you know, how you dress, which is actually very important. Also, a lot of the times, and this actually happened to me, I came into an office one day and somebody gave me a compliment and they said, "Oh, you look really good." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. My wife just got me this sweater," and, you know, and I really downplayed it. I didn't acknowledge the compliment. I was like, "Oh, thank you so much for that compliment." I felt a little bit awkward, a little bit weird to receive that compliment. So I had to say, like, "Oh yeah, my wife just got me. I really didn't pay attention." But you know what? That was really nice to hear. So what are your thoughts about not only getting compliments about the way you look, but also about, like, insight, your intelligence?
So basically the way I feel that it is we're so used to the fact that we don't get complimented for doing something. We're being told this is our job. We're the man. We're supposed to fix things. We're supposed to take out the garbage. We're supposed to clean up after ourselves. Another thing is complimenting on how we get dressed. Yes, we're supposed to compliment our wives. Yeah. Sometimes we forget. You know, we also have a lot of things on our mind. Yeah.
That's a very good point you're saying. You know, because a lot of the time it's not that we're not saying it because we just don't want to let you know how we feel, or don't see it, right? That's another thing. Like, I hear this a lot. You know, why should I put in effort if he doesn't even notice it? You know, what are your thoughts about that, Yehuda?
We all get that sometimes. You know, the wife comes up to you and says, I never hear a compliment from you. They're all putting on the makeup, they're getting ready, and you're you know, spacing out or thinking about, you know, what is my day going to be like tomorrow? What am I supposed to do later? What are the plans I'm supposed to be doing? Bills are coming up, I have to pay off. Rent, interest, loans, all these stuff have to get paid off. It's all running through your head. Right. So you're not even paying attention at all of the minor stuff, the makeup, the dresses and the hair. Right. You don't notice that type of stuff. You know,
or even if you do notice it, you may not say it because of, like you mentioned, all those other things going on in your mind.
She knows that I think she's beautiful. That's what you're thinking. But no, she wants you to say it. Right. So obviously, you know, this whole complimenting, it makes her feel good and makes you feel good as well.
Yeah, but I feel like it comes also because we're not used to receiving those compliments.
That's
so we just feel like we don't have to say it as well, because, like, if nobody does it to us, we don't really need to do it to someone else.
That is deep. Did you just hear what he said? He said a lot of the times, because we may not receive it for ourselves, it may not be like, oh, this is our channel of communication, that we talk this way, right? So when it comes a two-way street, you know, we're living right now in the 21st century. Words of affirmation, words of praise are really important. We all want to feel accepted, right? All right, so now when we're talking about it being accepted, a lot of the times we hear this, you know, our wives, and again, just want to put out a disclaimer. This video not in any way is to bash women or to bash wives, but what we want to do is just share a piece of our mind in terms of what goes on through a man's consciousness, or in the back of his mind. What's happening there? How is he processing information, right? So we want to talk about, let's say a woman puts on a dress, your wife puts on a dress, or your girlfriend puts on a dress, and she says, does this dress make me look fat, right? How do I look in this dress? No. Good answer, right? Good answer. No. But a lot of the times, men will say, you know, change that dress. I don't like the way it looks on you.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't, right? And their reaction might be, what do you mean? I look fat, I gain weight, you're so mean. How could you say something like that?
Or I work so hard on this
outfit. Or I work so hard and this is the only thing I have to wear. And then they start crying and saying, why don't you ever, you know, say something nice, and you're so mean. And they go on and on and on.
But also at the same time, sometimes when you just say, hey, you look beautiful, no, you're just saying that.
You're just saying that it's not real, exactly. Right? So the main thing is also, like, what are your thoughts? So at that point, where do men stand?
So you have to figure. We basically have to try to be mind readers. I know that a lot of guys feel like no, we're not mind readers, and that's a big topic of discussion. But you gotta figure out what is the question coming from. Is she really asking? Does it make me look fat, or does it make me look good? Or does she just want to hear you say, yes, this is good on you? Sometimes it can go either way. So you have to try to figure out, read the situation, see what's going on. And a lot of times, because you're busy or because you have other things on your mind, you might not notice, and you're just going to go with it and just say no and just continue. That's just the way we're trained.
But honesty also, our honesty is really done with good intentions. What do you think that means?
With honesty?
Yeah, like men's honesty is done with good intentions.
The way I see it is... we have to tread carefully when it comes to honesty.
Okay, let's hear this.
What do you mean?
Sometimes you could say something which could hurt them. You could be honest and be blunt, thinking that, listen, they need to hear it. And other times you just need to lie, because, lying could be a good thing at times.
Meaning
they don't want to hear a certain thing. By you, mellowing it out and saying, oh, everything is nice, everything looks good, it'll make her feel better.
Oh, so you're saying like just kind of pick your battles.
Right.
If you are, a couple of minutes away from going into the wedding, and she's already dressed and all done, kind of assess the situation. But if you're at home and you're able to kind of say it in a nice way, a lot of the times men have good intentions to be able to help and be able to say, from the side it doesn't really look good. A lot of the times the women will kind of confuse that honesty for saying, you're trying to diss me. Right, so let's talk a little bit about men being problem solvers. What are your thoughts about that?
So, problem solvers. So a lot of times women, they'll have some issues or something that needs to be done, something that something happened at work, or something they're not sure of. So we have to first understand that men and women think differently. Men, when they have some kind of problem, they want to fix the issue. Okay, what needs to be done? For example, the stereo's not working. Okay, I need to put batteries. It's gonna fix it. The alarm's not working. Fix the batteries. Okay, it's done. With the woman, sometimes it could be a little bit more than that. Sometimes I feel that it's
more emotional.
It's more emotional also, but sometimes they just need to express themselves as well and talk about it. And that in itself is gonna let them kind of relax and make them feel better. But as men, we're always trying to just come up with a solution to whatever problem that they have. And sometimes that could kind of backfire, thinking that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, I actually, I see that a lot with my clients, men or women. A lot of the times they'll come in with something happening in their life, and they want to be able to just talk about it, not hear your input. And a lot of the times I'll find myself saying, would you like my input on that, or do you just need space to be able to vent? And some will just say, hey, I just want to kind of get it off my chest. And some will say, I really do want to hear your input. So same thing, our wives are not our clients, but to be able to give that option to the wife and on our end to be able to say, like, what would you like? And for our wives or the women to be able to say, I just want you to hear me out. Communication is very important. And, men don't want to make a mistake in communication. And a lot of the times, being that men are wired to be fixers, like Rafi said, right? So they're going with their gut, trying to fix, but all a woman wants is just to be able to vent and share.
And what would you do in a case where the woman is venting and you tell them exactly what you just said? What would you like me to help you with? Her response to you is, I would like you to think about these type of things.
That's a big one, So in situations like that, so first of all, when she says, I would like for you to think about this, say, okay, and just hear her out. Allowing her to express herself. And then, if you can, put in some time thinking about it. And if you have questions, definitely ask those questions. A lot of the times, the whole mix-up is because people start to create scenarios in their mind that may not exist. People start to think they know what the other person is thinking, but in reality, we can't. So when we don't know, ask. Does that answer the question? Yeah. All right. So we want to be able to talk about reliability. A lot of the times in relationships, we find not being recognized for that. So, for example, Yair, what are your thoughts about men showing up?
So a lot of times, like, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of
okay,
issue
so for example, that's good. A lot of the times we have moments where we are not recognized for the things that we do, right? Like for example, you never watch the kids, or you never, do the shopping properly, and using those words, never or always. But how about all the things that men do that are not, and I just said do, right? How about all the things that men are doing that are not being recognized? Like, for example, taking the kids, let's say the man is doing carpool, going to work, doing these stuff, supporting the family, being able to pay the bills, doing all these types of things. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I do feel like a lot of times men get neglected in those areas where just the constant mundane things that we do gets neglected, and people women especially feel like we're not around, and we're not there because we're obviously not doing the actual stuff that's in the house. But a lot of times men have their responsibilities outside of the house, like what you were saying, where you go do the carpools, you'll go do the shopping a little bit, you'll go do other things, you'll buy stuff to fix around the house, you'll go take care of the lawn.
That's a big one, right?
Or
so exactly, the lawn or the snow. Yes, actually, it happens to be with the snow. Last year, the snow kept coming and coming and coming and coming, and every day I kept cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning. And after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then I ended up paying somebody to do it, and I'm like, that's it. Next year, I'm getting that one of those machines. But that's a good one, cleaning the snow, making sure the door is open and the snow is completely clean and the salt is already put out there. So doing these types of things to be able to say like, thank you, honey, for for cleaning up the snow. I really appreciate that. Acknowledge it. The words of affirmation go a long way, and sometimes you'll notice that men don't know how to respond to that because it might feel so new. Yeah, it might feel so new. And it's like, okay, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that. And guess what? The whole day, they might be thinking about that one compliment that you gave them. So
obviously, it's going to make the men want to do more things.
Yes, bingo, exactly. That's what it is. Being able to a snowball fight. Talking about snow, right? It is a snowball fight. Tell us what that means. You want to be able to do more of that.
So obviously you get the confirmation from your wife. Oh, I love the fact that you helped me out with the shopping today. So now that your wife is at work, you know what? I'm at home. I'm not doing anything. Let me try to cook for today.
Right. Wow! So you're gonna take it to the next level.
A little better.
Yeah, exactly. Doing things like that, and then also, like even the cooking. Being able to acknowledge that. I appreciate you putting in your time, and like Yehuda said, and with Rafi, with the snowball effect. You do one thing, men need to hear the words of affirmation, and then it'll just go one after another. What are your thoughts? This is a huge topic, right? And Rafi, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts about personal space and alone time for men?
So I think that's important because as men, grow up, they're used to hanging out with their friends, mostly their boys. We grew up with each 100%. Other. We always try to keep that bond together. I think also outside of that relationship with marriage or a person that they're seeing somebody as a girlfriend, whatever it is, that they do need that space outside of. The marriage, that relationship, exactly, because there's that circle. For example, you have work, you have the relationship, and then you need that boys' time. It doesn't have to be every week, but as long as you're able to kind of, some people would say like escape or kind of let loose a little bit or relax.
Time, even me time.
Yeah, me time. Yeah. Even by yourself, within your own thoughts. Yeah, a lot of the times, and we get it. We want to have that couple that the husband and wife want to be together. But personal space is very important and healthy. A lot of the times, and I say this a lot in therapy, that in every relationship there are three entities: the husband, the wife, and the couple. Every single one of them have their own empire, right? The husband and wife together, they're building a family, raising children, paying off their mortgage together, and doing things like that. The husband, possibly, whether he wants to do, work on his career and work on certain hobbies that he likes to do. And the wife, the same thing for her. Just because you're married doesn't mean your identity needs to be crushed. You absolutely need to do things on a personal level that bring you joy. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying, that it's very important for men to have that space, that time with their, with their buddies. You know, it doesn't have to be, again, like I said, every week, but it could be like once a month, or, you know, same thing with women. I'm not saying it's only a men thing, but even women, wives, they also need to have that, you know, time that they're able to kind of go and unwind with their friends. So it's for both.
Yeah. So we're actually getting some comments here saying that it's so good to see us together. People are saying men don't feel appreciated. Thank you for that, Camilla. You know, and this is why we're here today, to really bring awareness and really talk about what goes on in men's mind. Talking about men need personal space, exactly. So we also want to definitely discuss how men, there's this misconception that people think, you know, men don't pick up on these small little things, but actually, men really do appreciate the small little things that you do in the house. How you, you know, whether you put on some nice, fresh new bed sheets, or you, you know, you look nice, or you put on some perfume, or you, set the table nicely. Exactly, like that's a big one, right? The way you do something special.
Put away the dishes.
Put away the dishes. Yes, like that's another one. Exactly. We may not say it, but we definitely, absolutely appreciate it. Now, if you say like, hey, you know, I noticed I do all these things, you don't say it. That, yeah, maybe that's on our end where we need to be able to work on that communication, to be able to take that good feeling that we have in the back of our mind and be able to express it and say, you know what, I really did like that. But because of the lack of communication, a lot of times men are not conditioned to use these type of words. It's not the macho thing to do, so that's why it kind of falls under the radar. Now, when we talk about communication, just because men might not say it, doesn't mean they don't like it. So definitely want to let you know that men really do appreciate the little things that you do. Now, this is a huge one. We'll start off with Dr. Yair, I should say. Okay. And this is a big topic and can be a controversial topic, but I do think, being that we all work on medical or mental health field, we can talk about it in a healthy way, talking about intimacy, right? A lot of the intimacy in every relationship, we know that intimacy is one of the biggest factors, and it's very important to talk about. So there's this idea that men always have to be the one doing the chase, initiating intimacy. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, even a lot of people say around anywhere you see that men are the ones that are supposed to initiate, men are supposed to do the work, and men are the ones that are always into it, whereas women are not. They say,
right.
Like, the reason that misconception comes is because men feel like the women are not going after them. So that's why they're saying that men are always on and women are always usually not on. But it's not always true.
The case, exactly.
A lot of times that women are also interested. They're just not into that mood yet.
They don't think it's appropriate to do that.
And they feel like it's not appropriate to start, so they wait for the man to start. And the man, after, you know, obviously there are times where it's not going to happen. You know, they're busy, whatever it is. But after being rejected a few times, men just start giving up.
Big time, exactly.
And then they feel like, let me wait for the woman to start. But it doesn't happen because in society it's not normal for a woman to start.
Right. That is absolutely the truth. And it becomes this vicious cycle that when he asked 1, 2, 3 times, and she's like, no. And then when he's like, okay, here I am waiting for her, but in her mind it's like, wait, but it's kind of weird if I initiate it. And it's not weird at all. What are your thoughts, Yehuda?
I agree with everything you guys are saying.
But tell us more. We want to hear. This guy is a mastermind over here. We want to hear. What are your thoughts about a woman initiating intimacy?
I think it's okay. Yeah. I think it's something that even sometimes it should be done. Doing that, it actually makes the relationship healthy. Yeah. Because it shows that both sides, they want to be together. Yeah, exactly. It shows love. It shows that the intimacy is strong. That even though one is not saying anything, the other one does want it. Yeah. You know.
Again, you know, that little kind of chase sometimes can be, you know, exciting, but at the same time, like Yehuda said, knowing that where they're both, you know, husband and wife are both on the same level, and intimacy still exists, and they both equally want it, that feels really good, knowing that you're also wanted. Right. Constantly doing that chase, you end up, the thought can come in like, wait, I'm always running after you. What,
Do they really
do
want me,
you
or-
really exactly? Do you really want me? What's going on here? So you taking the initiative and showing that love, giving that touch, and doing that action can definitely feel very comforting and actually stimulate the guy a lot more. Let's talk about sports. Okay, why do you guys think men love sports so much?
Testosterone.
Testosterone. Well, that's for sure.
Well, sports,
Right?
there's a competition and then there's a goal.
It's
A
an
goal.
end result.
Right.
End result.
End result. Exactly. You know.
It's also the adrenaline, the fact that you want your team to win, and the fact that you see this one is trying to take the ball away. This one, it's all that running, all that adrenaline that's happening. It's getting you excited.
So let's kind of piece all the puzzles that you guys just said, right? You said adrenaline, you want your team to win, right? At the same time, you guys were saying there's an end goal, right? So let's start off with Yehuda. You said you want your team to win. We want our family, which is our team, we want our team to be successful. Now, both Rafi and Yair said there's an end goal, right? So when the game is over, we know that, we know who won. There's no argument. We look at the points. There's actually an achievable target, right? If you get, let's say, 30 points or, right, 70 points or 25 points, you win the game, right? So in our relationship, we want to be able to know what is the goal. What do I have to reach to be able to be successful and say, I won? Men, this is a big, let's call it a secret, but men don't like it when women are vague. What do you think that means, Rafi?
Vague. So I think when women just throw out hints to men, not specifying exactly what they want and how they want things, and want men particularly to just figure it out on their own.
Yes, I love that. Yes, figure it
when
out,
they
right?
can't, it's like, wait, we're not talking the same language. Why can't you understand me? Why can't you listen more?
Yeah.
Or,
It puts us into trouble whenever we're given that so much responsibility, kind of like figure it out, But the biggest thing is we're not mind readers. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. Like we need a set list. Like even if I go shopping, I need my wife to tell me exactly what she needs.
Yeah.
She can't just tell me go shopping and just figure out what we need.
That's
and all
what
of a
you
sudden,
gotta-
like I don't know what she's planning on cooking, what she's planning on making, and I gotta now read her mind and figure out what I need to buy.
That's actually a big one, And sometimes you go shopping and you buy the 15 things or the 20 things. Happens to be I don't do the shopping in my relationship because she knows how to do it and she does a great job at it. But it happens that when you go shopping and you buy the 25 things that are on the list, but the 2 things that were on the list and you forgot it, it's so easy, and we do this a lot in our lives, men and women. We focus on the negative and we don't stop and think about all the other things that are good that are happening in our life. So talking about that shopping list, let's also acknowledge that the guy got 25 of the things. 2 things are not there. Okay, we can figure it out. Or a lot of times it happens with clothing. This is another topic of conversation. Where do you leave do you leave socks on the floor? The guy's socks are always somehow on the floor, right? So, and this is like a big topic, please put the socks in a hamper or whatever it may be, something like that. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're focusing on socks. If we evaluate the whole picture of life, right? If we can avoid this argument, right, and pick our battles, that's really what it is. Yeah, will relationships have bickering? Yes, it will. This is just, you're two different people trying to live in one space. It's bound to happen. But also, pick the battles, If we're doing so many other awesome things, let's try to focus on those. And if we can turn a blind eye on these small, minor things.
Bigger picture.
Exactly. There is a bigger picture. What is the reason for being in a relationship? What's the point of it? It's to stay united together and experience balance and joy. Unfortunately, there are a lot of toxic relationships, and that is something we definitely want to avoid. We do also want to talk about, men and mental health. A lot of and Rafi and Yair and Yehuda, they all work with people on different spectrums. Rafi is a PA, Yair is a pharmacist, Yehuda is an RN, I'm a psychotherapist. So we work with people dealing with a lot of mental health issues. So Rafi, what are your thoughts about men dealing with anxiety and depression and PTSD and
So from my experience working in a hospital, I've seen many men, coming in with different problems, whether it's anxiety, depression, PTSD, and a lot of people might think, why were men going through that? Like, what is it that in their life that they're going through that they have to go through such a big thing in their life? And a lot of times it's because maybe when they were younger, some kind of trauma they had went through, or maybe growing up they didn't get all that pushes and the good compliments, exactly, to kind of build them and structure them the way that they, they should be.
Can you share a little bit about Yehuda, about like when men suppress feelings because they need to be macho?
Suppressing feelings to be macho. I mean, we were always taught that men should always be alpha males. We're always taught that men are supposed to.
What is an alpha male?
Alpha male is basically to be the top dog, to be on top, to always be the supporter, to always be responsible, to always be in control, never to lose control, because once you lose control, everything else falls. So that's why they say that he has to be macho, he has to suppress everything. Because once he starts to cry and once he starts to lose his emotions, I got married to a wimp, I'm dating a wimp.
Wow, that's huge. Well, Yair, what are your thoughts about men expressing emotion, and is that considered weakness?
Well, in society, the way it's been set up till now has always been big boys don't cry. From a 3-year-old age, we're taught like, no, you can't cry. Then you get older, walk it off.
Shake it off. Yeah, absolutely.
So then once you get older, it's like that's it. We build up those barriers to block it out, which is not always so healthy because we're keeping all that in. And then all of a sudden, later on, for one small little coffee that's not made in the morning, we're flipping out because we're holding in a lot of garbage that we kept from before, and we're not letting that out.
A lot of the times, what Yair was just talking about is a defense mechanism called displacement. A lot of the times, men suppress those feelings and they take it out on other things. And like you said, you got a bad coffee in the morning, you're gonna make a comment or appear very angry. But in reality, you're dealing with so many other internal things that you're not able to express your sadness. Men, just like women, also experience anxiety and stress and PTSD, and a lot of the times, and even depression, a lot of the times they don't have an opportunity, or there's a taboo which is topics you don't talk about, right? A lot of the times men kind of stay away from talking about feelings and emotions because it can appear so, girly or unmasculine, unmanly. But you know what ends up happening? The family dynamic becomes unhealthy. The relationship with a parent and child is unhealthy and toxic. And then that comes through into the parenting. And then those children are raised with the trauma that their parents experienced. So being able to work out all those inner conflicts that we have and live a better, healthier life. So being able to allow the man in your life to have these challenges and get the help that they need without looking at them, like Yehuda said, as a wimp, that can empower a man to really better his life. Like, for example, I always bring this example of like basketball players, right? Why do they have a coach? If they're the best, LeBron James or whoever, right, whichever, Michael Jordan, they're the best basketball players, why do they have a coach? Because we all have blind spots. We all have areas that we need to work on, somebody to be able to guide us. It does not in any way mean if a man goes to therapy that he's weak or incompetent in any way. And what are your thoughts about men learning from their fathers?
Men learning from their fathers? Well, I think it depends on what you want to learn from. Okay, because growing up, the only man in your life is your father. For majority of the time, and whatever you see a parent do, mostly a father, you're going to try to reflect that because you think that's the norm, that's what's supposed to be, because you're not exposed to an environment where you see, a whole bunch of men. As you get older, you experience, with friends and, other people in your surroundings, whether it's work, and then that kind of starts to mold you in a certain way. But definitely, there are certain traits that from a father that that could be not as pleasing to people. Exactly
like you said. In the past generation, men went through a lot more trauma. I can say again, not to say who's going through more. A lot of times, people who were immigrants came and they faced so much difficulty, and because they went through the trauma, put that onto their children, and their children who are now adults behaved like their father did. And for the spouse, it can be like very questioning. Well, what are you doing? Why are you behaving this way? But it can be because, like you said, that was their role model in life. They didn't. It's not like they had a lot of options to choose from.
So
this was their program. This is how they were programmed, and this was their parents. So this is how they became. So it's a work in progress. Being able to be open to that. So another question about intimacy. There's sex, right? There's this idea that sex is just sex for men, and sex don't. There's a difference between sex and making love, right? And actually being intimate with your partner, and for making love, for actually being present in the moment to connect on an emotional level. What are your thoughts about that, Yehuda?
Sex is not really just sex.
Okay, exactly, 100%.
About it.
What does that mean? Sex is not just sex. How would you define that?
The way I would define it is you have to be intimate. You have to, obviously, it's not just the pleasure of the guy, it should be also the pleasure of the girl.
Exactly.
This way it's a relationship. That's what it means to be husband and wife. That's what it is to be together as one.
Yeah.
That's why they say you are considered one when you're in the bed.
Yeah, exactly. And to express that also, when a man is able to please a woman, that brings him a lot of joy. Being able to hear words of affirmation, that felt really good. I really loved when you did ABC. These types of things, these types of conversations need to happen. A lot of the times, men or women feel very uncomfortable sharing this with one another. We also talk about, there's this idea, yes, men do think a lot about sex. However, it can very much be that I have cases that, that's not, where people don't want it, where people feel like they're dealing with so much, they're not always up for it. There is this idea that, you snap your finger and the man definitely wants sex, he'll run and come calling, right? But because of what's going on in their personal life, for example, finances, bills, and Yair, I'll let you talk about it more. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, like you said, there can be a lot of stresses.
Medical,
but there
talk about medical.
There can be some medical issues as well. Like, sometimes guys have performance issues, or sometimes guys can have some chemical imbalances where they have some issues with that, and then they feel embarrassed to go and seek help. Even if it's not chemical, even if it's just a mental health thing, and they have to go speak to someone about it and try to get rid of that extra baggage that they're carrying to help relieve some of that stress.
Can you share a little bit about performance anxiety and what is that?
Well, performance anxiety is a cycle basically, where if at one time every guy goes through this one time in their life or another. Where they have too much stressors, or something goes on, or even like I said before, chemical imbalances because of the stuff that we eat and the environment. We just can't perform, and then after that, it just really messes with our psyche. And guys have this very bad feeling that they can't perform, and the next time it comes up, or even not even coming up, just thinking about it gets a guy so nervous and anxious that it's just makes it worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And if a guy doesn't deal with it or properly try to address it, it's just going to keep going.
Yeah. Just to add a little bit on what you said, I also feel sometimes it could be expectation. Sometimes a woman, could have expectations of a man to perform a certain way, do certain things, this and that, and a person sometimes can get nervous. Oh, am I gonna reach the goal that I'm supposed to? Right. And sometimes that could make a person nervous, and not be able to perform.
100%. That's a big thing. And having these conversations, we know sex is a very big part of a relationship. They say the biggest three things in a relationship is sex, money, and communication, right? This is something it's not only the action, but like Yehuda said, it really bonds you, it really connects you. And if something is just not clicking, that is okay, and that is normal, and you are able to express that and talk about it. If you need professional help, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with you, and you can go to a doctor, you can speak to pharmacists. I'm sure, there are medications that can help.
There are some over-the-counter supplements and things like that people can try before going straight to the medications.
Supplements, can you share a little bit about supplements? Like what can somebody take or do?
Well, you have Yohimbi that can increase the drive and increase a little bit of the testosterone in the body, where someone can have a little bit extra desire and enhance.
If anybody is watching this and needs any what was it called?
Yohimbi.
Yohimbi. If anybody needs some help, you can definitely call Yair, or how can they reach you? What is your business number? Or where are you located?
In Great Neck.
In
South
Great
Station
Neck.
Pharmacy.
South Station Pharmacy. Can they Google it?
Yes.
Yeah. Google South Station Pharmacy. You can definitely talk to Yair, and he can suggest different types of supplements that you can. Of course, you also have to talk to your doctor and see what works best for you. But you can speak to him, and he can recommend what is used on that level.
Question for you. So, and a person's in this situation. What do you think the step that a person is supposed to take? Do you think that it's the woman that should maybe approach the husband in order for him maybe not to feel uncomfortable, or do you think the man is supposed to approach
that is a very good point. Look, the guy's not stupid. Clearly he knows something is off, something is wrong. He obviously doesn't want to feel this way, right? But having a conversation in a very gentle way, and not like you said, putting him down or saying, because like you said, there's this expectation that he needs to reach, he needs to be doing certain things, and if he doesn't do it, then he may not be man enough, or he just doesn't know what he's doing, right? So having that conversation, like, hey, just checking in, what's going on? Do you want to be able to see a doctor? Like Yair said, from a chemical perspective, something just may not be clicking, or from a psychological perspective, like the performance anxiety. I like how you said, because of that one time that it messed up, and it becomes this like vicious cycle, that one time, and you fear, it's almost like a panic attack, you fear that you're not going to be able to perform, and then what happens is, because of that, you again fail, and you again fail, and you again fail, and it's just this cycle. So if you're dealing with something like this, definitely to be able to seek help. It can definitely be confidential. Nobody has to know about this. This is something between you and the spouse. And also, just to let the wife know, if any women are listening to this live, please keep it between you and your husband. Yeah. Nobody else is supposed to know about it. Not your mom.
Actually, that's an issue that I had with one of my patients, where he came in. He was a newly married guy, young guy, and he needed medication because what happened was, the first night after, he was a religious guy, nothing before marriage, right? Obviously, and then the first night he couldn't perform. He got a little nervous, he couldn't perform. And instead of actually, talking it over with her husband, the wife went and told her mom, and it became a whole big thing. And now, because of that, he always has anxiety because of it.
Wow, that's
because
huge.
It was such a big traumatic event for him and it got blown out of proportion.
Yeah, this is, there's how they say, you don't kiss and tell, right? These things you don't talk about with your girlfriend. You don't talk about these things with your mom or with your, your friend or your neighbor. These things are very sensitive, very private. And eventually, even if your trusted friend, it will get out. It will get out. So keep it private. Keep it it's really just between you and your spouse. Speak to a doctor. Get the help. Because guess what? Just because you may think you're dealing with this, many, many other people are dealing with this as well. And an interesting point you made about food, the quality of food you eat has an effect on that as well. So definitely, you may not be aware of that also, but definitely looking into that can help. Now, to close up our topic, our live, and this is a big one. You know how they say, like, men and cheating. Why do men cheat? This is a huge topic, and possibly we're going to get to that more in our next live coming up. But it may not be, cheating, meaning going to another person. A lot of the times, cheating can also be
going to the game,
going to a video game, or going gambling, or taking on drinking, so what are your thoughts? Why do you feel, Yehuda, we'll ask you this, why do you feel that men become emotionally detached and kind of veer off and do their own thing?
Good question.
I know his mind is like racing because he has so much to share about this topic.
Cheating with what? Like, we're talking about with women, or we're talking about just
like, for example, let's say a couple gets married, and they were intimate, they had this relationship, and then possibly as the kids came in, as life got more busy, they slowly kind of went their separate ways. And then he's doing his own thing, she's doing her own thing. What do you think? Roommates? Like, what do you think went wrong, and how can we stop that from happening?
I feel that the reason why these type of things might be happening is because of the fact that the intimacy between them has changed. There's the vibe changes between the husband and wife. Both spouse, there could be attractions are different, could be she's not giving him the attention that he wants, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that happens basically, the guy sees that attention that he wants somewhere else. And he basically drives him to that.
What are your thoughts about like emotional cheating? What do you say? Yair?
You mean like just having another conversation?
Another conversation, yeah. That's a big one. Women want to know, like, you know, why do men who talk to other women, or for example, in an office space, or is that considered emotional cheating to be able to do something like that? Or
technically,
is it just a
most men do it with other guys, right? We have our
Yeah.
guy friends, and we have that, you know, we go and we share everything that we want to share with our guy friends, but yet with the wife or with the girlfriend, the guys are a little bit more hesitant to tell them what's going on, or to talk, to actually communicate with them.
Yeah.
Technically, that would be the same idea. Just because it's a woman on the other end does not really make it into actually cheating. But in reality, it is a sort of a form of cheating, even if it's a guy.
Right.
Because you are not communicating with your partner, who is the person that you're supposed to be communicating with. You're going and giving your secrets or whatever it is to somebody else.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. You know, there's another misconception, you know, that people think that men don't have, you know, talks with their buddies, right, with their friends, but they actually very much do. And a lot of the times it could be that they're talking about sensitive things like that, especially when you have good friends. You can have these type of conversations, right? So it's not only the women that like to have their talks. For men, it can also be very important and healthy. But what Yair was saying, that something like this, so sensitive, to be able to be so comfortable, to be able to address it without feeling like a man is going to be attacked for it. Right. So before we conclude, we wanted to play an interesting game for couples. This is called, and I talk about this a lot on my other lives, and I work on this with my clients, and I offered it to many couples. This is called the Ungame. And there's two different levels. One, that's it's level 1, level 2. Level 1 is more of an icebreaker, and level 2 is a lot more deeper connections, being able to connect on an emotional level, really understanding what's going on in each other's lives. A lot of the times I'll work with people who are married already for 15 or 20 years, and when they play this game, they're like, I didn't know that about you, right? And it's such simple questions that really bring up conversation, and we definitely want to get the conversation started. So I picked out four cards randomly. We want to just be able to ask you guys, and so you can see what it looks like. So these are some of the questions. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Yair, we'll start with you. Dr. Yair, are you ready?
All right.
Make a statement about love.
So people think that love is a feeling that you get automatically where you just attach to someone, where it's not really that. It's more when you love someone, like if you ask a family that has a troubled child, a parent that has a troubled child, which child do they love the most? It's usually that troubled child, because we give more service and attention to that troubled child. So it's the same idea with a husband and wife. The more you do for each other, the more the love for each other will grow.
Do you think that love is more conditional?
No.
To something?
It's not conditional. Love comes from you doing to the other person, not you getting from the other person.
So what do you mean by conditional?
Meaning, there's a condition behind it. Like, for example, say a couple is married, right? The man could love the woman could love the man. But now, for example, say that the man loses his job, right? He's not able to fully support the woman the same way that he used to, buy her fancy clothing, take her to fancy dinners and stuff like that. So, is she gonna still love him the same way?
That's huge, because
he had a very successful job.
Not to call anybody a gold digger, right? But Rafi has a very good point. When he had that money, when he had that nice fancy car, everything seemed to be perfect. But now,
a lot of times it's on the guy himself, because he feels like he's not providing enough.
Self-sabotage.
He gets a little distant himself, and he stops doing even the small stuff, like coming and saying "Good morning, honey" in the morning. Making trying to be quiet when you wake up early and she's still sleeping, trying to not wake her. Those type of services actually do increase the love that people have for each other.
Wow, I think that was very powerful what you shared in terms of the more you give, the more you love, and that's what they say. The biggest love in the world is mother to their child, which makes a lot of sense because they're giving unconditionally. Wow, great answer. All right, next, let's see what we got here. Yehuda, are you ready? Okay. What are some reasons for getting married? What do you think?
Procreating.
Procreating, okay, having a family, having kids, and what do you think, like kids and all of that? What does that mean to you?
It's basically just continuing your name, continuing
your legacy,
the cycle. Yeah.
Continuing cycle. Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Just to add to that.
Yeah.
So people could have many reasons why they would want to get married. There are some
Tax
people,
purposes too.
Some people will do it for children. Some people need a companion. Some people are scared to die alone. Honestly, so they want somebody to be there for them. Mm-hmm. Like you said, also being another thing was continue your generation.
Mm-hmm.
Your legacy. Yeah, some people just want to grow a family, have kids, and kind of that gives them the enjoyment. Yeah. So for them, that's considered life.
You said something that kind of it gave me an aha moment. Dying alone. That can be definitely very
scary.
A very scary concept. And knowing that you built something of your own, whether it's a spouse or kids, and having that family unit, knowing that when you will get older, you will have somebody to be able to, almost like Yehuda said, to leave that legacy, leave your name. So for sure, I absolutely, I appreciate that answer. All right, so Rafi, are you ready?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on how children are raised today?
How children are raised today? So it's definitely a big topic.
We definitely have to do another live on this.
So, just to kind of go back, a few years ago, say 20 years, comparing it, children are raised way, way differently than, they are today and the way they were before. And a big majority reason for that is because children these days are exposed to so much more things that, in our days we didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of technology that we have, the iPhones and computer screens and social media definitely, and being able to speak to somebody across across the world, FaceTime. It's like so much more. So kids are now also expecting more. Like, wait, I see that my friends have these gadgets. I also want it. And they're gonna feel left out by not having them. So they feel like they're more. What's that word I would say? What? Entitled, okay.
Yeah. It's interesting you were talking about the gadgets and all that, because that's a big thing. We should definitely do a live on that, because a lot of parents are noticing have a big challenge with that, with the iPads and with the cell phones, because the kids, like you said, they want it because everybody has it. So it's not like you can't not give it to them, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, creating that balance for them. So the last question I'll answer, it says, who do you think should handle the money and budgeting in a relationship, and why? So I think years ago, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think years ago it was more of a masculine thing to be able to handle the finances. Happens to be my wife is an accountant, so she's the one who does all of that, and she does a great job, and she has all her Excel sheets, and she's very organized when it comes to these things. So she kind of took that route, and she's doing a great job. But I would say in relationships, it's definitely a conversation piece. So for example, having that conversation to know who's dealing with the finances, and also making sure that they're both equal, because a lot of the times you have situations where one of the spouse feels generally like women feel very uncomfortable to get it from the man, or even you'll see sometimes the roles are switched, where the man feels that if he buys something, he'll be questioned in a relationship. Right. Why did you buy this? We already have it at home. Or why are you spending the money? Right. So it's really important to be able to have open conversations and understand, just like I said, in every relationship, there are three parts: the husband, the wife, and the couple. So being able to allow each one to have that luxury, or I should even say necessity, to spend money without being questioned. We're all adults, so it's a very demeaning and not a good feeling whenever you buy something and somebody says, why did you spend so much money on that? It shows that we're not smart enough to make a decision on how much we have to spend. So that's kind of my take on it. This is called the Ungame once again. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. And I wanted to say, guys, this was awesome.
Thank you so much for
I really
I just wanted
appreciate
to,
it. This was so good.
I think it's important just to conclude for maybe the people that joined us in the middle. by no means, we had this conversation to put any woman down.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. It was just to open up the mind.
What a gentleman! What a gentleman! He's married, by the way, and so are they.
By the way, it's my wife's birthday, so
happy birthday! What a shout out! Look at that! Happy birthday, Orly! Look at that.
So it was just to open up the perspective of the man, and just to get that one point of view of the man.
That was an excellent point. This is really it's a partnership. So and a lot of the times. Women may feel that they don't know enough or men are not communicating enough, but this was definitely work to be able to come out and put this out there and really share personal things and talk about these taboo topics that people generally don't talk about. And this is a very important topic to discuss, so we hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, please let us know what they are. Share this video, put it out there, let people know who need to hear it.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid, exactly. Keep it going, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And Rafi's going to click the finish button.
All right.
And stay tuned for episode 3. The finish button.
There we go, right here.
There we go. It's not clicking.